Hi, and welcome to the next video in our video series on how to do your first DirectX application in C++ from scratch. Um, yes, in the last episode we worked on a pipeline which we would use for our shadows. Uh, it was a transparent pipeline that had a blending operation and some stenciling, and yeah, we did some work on that, but we're not using it for anything. Um, we will do a new plan instead of the old video plan, since some time has passed, and I actually did a live stream yesterday that followed up on this, but it ended up being um, a bit buggy, and I decided to redo the episodes so that you don't have to bother with bugs. But that means that this episode will be changed a bit. We will, of course, do shadow implementations when relevant, but we will fix some small bugs that are um, in our system right now. If you're watching this in the future, um, or if you're watching this, you might see that there has been some commits. In the meantime, I've reverted back to this episode here. So this code version is the one that we're using in this live stream. Just be mindful of that. Okay, so we had a problem that our D12 resources weren't being allocated properly when the vectors underlying them got resized. We kind of made a temporary fix for that by making sure that our vectors never resize, but in general, that's not how we would like to handle it. So the problem pertains to the way that vectors resize, since they do either a move or copy constructor when they reallocate the new objects, because they need to find a new place for them in the heap, since they need more heap memory. They call a move or copy constructor, but that's just a defaultly implemented constructor, and since we have a member variable that's a pointer, that usually leads to a lot of trouble. So let's fix that. I don't think that for this project here, a resource should be copyable per se, which means that we will simply delete the copy and copy assign constructors. Let's see, let me spell this correctly. Which these statements make sure that we do. So let's do that. We delete them. Right now, our program won't compile because we have not supplied a method to actually reallocate the resources. Then it says you've deleted the copy constructor. I don't know what to do. So we need to reference our move constructor that always uses a temporary. So and should be defined as no except, because it shouldn't throw. It should just fail in case. And we will use a custom move operator slash constructor instead. So let's see, if the other object that we're moving from has a memory pointer set, it means that it has been mapped, because when we call this function, we check if the memory pointer isn't set, and we map it. We don't do this anywhere else in our application, so that means that the other resource here could be properly unmapped. Um, Then if the other actually has an interface, it will probably have that. Um, we would like to swap that underlying interface pointer with our own here in this object here. Then if we actually got a pointer to an interface and the other had that memory allocation set, we know that this should be mapped. And we want to reference our memory. And then the other memory pointer should be reset. So that if the object goes out of scope, when we call the release function here, when it goes out of scope, we check if the memory pointer is set and also if the interface is set, and we unmap. And yeah, so we reset like that. Then we need to do exactly the same, except we will return a dereferenced reference to our object, because we want to pass on a actual object. All right. Now we should be able to actually remove these statements here, the object transforms and the material buffers here, and we shouldn't get any DirectX debug errors when the vectors resize. But I've also stumbled upon another error. It's a classical mistake for me, and that is whenever we call release on this, we also would like to set it to a null pointer, because we released the resource, but the pointer doesn't point to anything anymore. So we need to do that for our shaders whenever we release them. Okay, let's try compiling this, running this, and closing this. Okay, we actually do get a crash here because we're apparently referencing something. So let's try and make sure that the pointer is actually valid. Okay, now no problems, no crashes. Whoops. Let's move this back. GUI, please let me move this back. Where do I? Let's see, layout, window, reset window layout. Yeah, okay. And let's do our, and then our debug area here appeared again. Let's see, do we have any errors? No, but we have some warnings. There's a pipeline and a root signature referenced, but we do not have any errors anymore. So yeah, we fixed the issues. Let's try opening and closing several times, even as fast as possible. Okay, so that seems to be fixed. We only need to call release on our newly created pipeline. So let's do that. Did we actually call it something? Planar shadows. Okay. And then I realized there's a shading error. Let's see. Let's set our light direction here. It points towards the positive z-axis. Let's just reset that and set it to point towards the negative x-axis as well. So that will be a 45-degree directional light that shines down and towards the x-axis. Let's reset our camera here so that we look from the Z-plane. As you can see, or maybe you can't see that actually now. Let's offset. So this light here doesn't shine correctly on this object here, but it shines correctly on this one. And if you look into the vertex shader here, you will see that our normals here actually gets transformed and thereby translated by the object transform slash world matrix. Normals shouldn't be transformed, they should only, or translated, they should only be rotated. You could do this in several ways. You could ask the shader to discard the parts of the transform that pertains to translation and only take the parts that handle rotation and potentially skewing, even though we are assuming a bit of non-skewed coordinates. We're assuming orthonormal coordinates, but we might not be supplying that. And then you could simply pass in the normal and do like this. And let's see, immediately you see the change. Also, the floor gets shaded properly. So this looks a lot better than our previous setup. So that's an actual bug. So let's fix that. Let's see our shaders here. Well, these are just as is for now because we will handle them in the future episode. And if oh yeah, there's one more bug. In the last episode, I forgot to mention that you would also like to clear the stencil between frames. Otherwise, you just write to the stencil and never clear it, and it will stay the same forever. So yeah, let's fix that. And yeah, I'll explain some setup in the next episode. All right, let's change this back to a light that is just shining down here. And let's set our camera to something that just looks down at an angle. Okay. this would also need a 1 here, since the transform line here always ends with a 1. I'm not sure it actually changed anything, but let's see. That's just, we might actually have a, no, it doesn't move, no. Okay, but that's more proper. Let's set up our floor here so that it is scaled correctly. We will do a Y scale on 1, and then we will simply offset by 2, or maybe even just 1. Yeah. So now we will make sure that the floor is actually at the 0, 0, 0, at least the floor surface, but then we need to actually move these objects up a bit. Let's do some Y offsetting here. There we go. Great stuff. That's it for this episode. Let's just delete this. Let's just delete this, and we will do this, or rather we've done this. So let's save that, and I'll upload the video. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. I hope I explained why there were some minor bugs that in the future would accumulate into some harder to debug problems. So yeah, since I'm doing this mostly during a live stream, bugs are prone, and well, we just need to fix them. And yeah, if they accumulate too heavily, I think it makes sense to redo the episodes. So hopefully you'll feel the same. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.